What's up, guys? It's your boy Fast Train G, and today I'm gonna give you guys some tips to become a better rider. But first, let me get a choo choo from my Fast Train gang. Choo choo. So the first thing you're gonna want to get, ratchet straps. Then we're gonna lower the forks about 2 inches. When they stick out of your bike like those, you're on the right track. Whoa, 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 Wadobo. You're not Outspoken Leopard, bro. What the fuck you mean, man? This is what everybody does. Strap it down and then hit the throttle. It can't be that fucking hard. Come on, fam. This is a dope fucking moto. We don't do that straight line bullshit. Alright. Welcome to your guide to being a fast ass motherfucker. So I've been riding motorcycles for almost 2 decades now, and the first tip I'm about to give you is something that I still struggle with today. You gotta trust your damn tires, man. Believe it or not, your tire actually has less contact patch when it's standing straight up versus when it's leaned over. The nature of the design of a sport bike, especially when turning, as you already know, is not actually by turning these handlebars. You turn the bike by leaning the bike left or right. So it makes sense to have more grip on the sides of the tires than the center. But as a veteran rider, I get it. Sometimes it's still very difficult to get that mental block out of your head. So how can we learn to trust our tires? Well, do your research on the tires that you buy. Some tires are meant to heat up faster than others. Some even require tire warmers if you go to the track. Tire technology has come a long way, and there's so many different compounds and so many different kinds of tires. I even made a video up here that you guys could watch, but it really boils down to understanding what tires you're rocking. And sometimes you do have to take a deep breath or have a little bit more seat time with those tires for you to develop trust in yourself and in your tires. In my time of riding, I've seen a lot of riders go wide and go straight into a ditch or into a wall. Now, there's a lot of things that happen when you do end up going wide in a corner, but here's some things that you could do to help remedy or prevent that. Alright, you're in the corner and you're already going wide. To prevent yourself from going further out, there's 3 things you can do. Say you're not fully leaned over, you're just gonna have to lean a little bit harder and look further away. The second thing you could do is give the bike a little bit more throttle to help steer the bike away from the outside. And finally, you can counter steer. That means if you're going to the left, you can push on the clip-on just a little bit in order to keep the bike away from the outside and turn it to the direction that you're going. I don't like that they call it counter steering, because to me, steering is steering with both hands. I prefer the term counter input, because all you're doing is giving a little bit of input to the inside clip-on to help guide you towards the turn. Just be careful not to give too much input when you're counter steering. So some people have issues with throttle, depending on which side you're leaning. Some people have a harder time leaning to the left, and some people have a harder time leaning to the right. And it's all because they're gripping this thing way too hard. Your grip on the throttle should be nice and soft. In fact, you shouldn't grip the whole front end that hard at all. You want to use your legs to hold onto the motorcycle, and you're actually using a combination of your hip, core, and your legs to help move the bike in the direction that you're trying to go. By having a really stiff grip on the throttle, you're counteracting the gyroscope of the front end of this bike, which could lead to a low or a high side crash. What you want to do instead is have a nice soft grip, and you almost want to use your index finger and your thumb to actually twist the throttle like this. Using this technique rather than your wrist will help you to keep this whole front end independent from everything else on the bike. See, even though the front end is connected by you really want the front end to kind of be its own thing. You don't really want to stiffen up the whole geometry by gripping the fuck out of this. Be really fluid and loose when you're leaning back and forth, and especially when you're in a straight line doing your 650 ebe thing. You see this Aprilia seat? This little pouch in the back is where your ass needs to be when you're going in a straight. Now, if you're tucking in like this, you're putting a lot of your body weight above the tank and possibly above the front end. What you want to do to try to give the rear tire as much grip as possible on corner exit is shift your ass back. This will help keep the rear tire from breaking loose and possibly causing a high side. See, believe it or not, the most dangerous part of cornering is actually exiting the corner. When you're going into a corner really fast, you're on the front brakes and your front tires are designed to be grippy coming into a corner. When you're leaned over to one side or the other, your tires are also designed to be really grippy on its side. And exiting the corner is the most dangerous part because you're on the throttle. And once you're on that throttle, the power and weight transfers to the rear end. The biggest mistake most people make is they're on the throttle way too early. It's a delicate balance, but you have to wait till the bike is pointed straight. If your front wheel is still a little bit crooked like this and you hit the throttle, the force generated from the rear end and the front tire being crooked will cause the rear wheel to lose traction, which is very dangerous for us. So really be patient when when you're getting back on the throttle on a corner exit. All right, here's some quick tips. These are called knee pucks, but they don't go on your knee, they actually go on your shin. Knee pucks are a gauge to see how far you're leaned over on the bike. You may have heard of people saying leaning farther away from the motorcycle is actually safer. Well, that's true. Remember the part I said about going wide and leaning more? The reason you want to hang further off the bike is to give you that safety net to be able to lean the bike a little bit further. Now, I've heard a lot of people call this a heel guard, but I think it's more of a heel lock. Most people, when they're cornering, they never change their toe position, but in reality, it's better to switch from your toe to locking your heel in place when you're leaned over the bike like this. Your heel should be locked to the outside, and your toe on the outside should be able to swivel like this. And then when I go to switch directions, I'm gonna lock my heel in like this and lean over. This is what keeps you in place along with this. Here's a couple final tips. Keep your elbows in an L position when you're riding. And when you're leaning to one side, use your mirror as a gauge. If you're looking at the mirror, you're not leaned over far enough. You want to look outside, just like this. And remember to keep your L's. And when you transition over to the other side, don't do such a big body movement like this. Instead, you're almost going to want to sweep the tank with your chest and then lean to the other side. It's a sweeping motion from one side to the other, not a lifting motion. Alright, that's all I got because it's raining. Remember, if you start going wide, it's throttle, countersteer, and lean more. And if you want something in this life, don't ever hesitate to get it. No hezzy. Baby! I pulled up with the Dobo Moto, too legit.